Pie starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
The Seminole Headlines underway. Great to be with you as always. Ira's here, Corey in Atlanta. You guys are listening. We do appreciate it. We also appreciate our friends at Register Sausage. Yay, sausage! How are you, boys?
I'm good. I wish maybe in the intro the guy could say it starts right effing now. Just kind of give us like a little
extra something.
You can bleep it out and you can say the real thing.
Yeah,
Corey?
don't even have to say effing. Say the real word.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm sure they'd love that. The FCC, the fine folks in Tallahassee.
They're not listening.
I would, we could do a little bleepy poo or something like that. Would be all right. But registerssausage.com, right?
Ben would be cool with it.
Ben would be. Lots of people would be, but there'd be a whole nother contingent that's like, dude, what are we doing here? What is
kids in the car?
Yeah,
it's registersmeats.com. Is it not, Ira? I think Jeff screwed that up.
It's registermeats.com.
Oh, we both screwed it up. Sorry.
It's all right. But people will find it. They'll figure it out. They're industrious. The headliners aren't going to give up. They're not going to type in a URL.
No, they're going to
off by a letter and just go home. They want their register sausage. They're going to order it from registermeats.com, or they'll go in the local grocery store. And we actually got a tip. One of the responses. Yeah,
I saw this.
Did you see that?
I did. Yeah, go to
the
deli people.
Yeah, during the one of the responses to the question on Twitter. This is a guy who has experience as a deli or meat manager in a supermarket. Said when you go to your local grocery store, if they don't have register sausage, don't go deal with the manager, the regular manager, the bureaucrat that's running the store.
Smart.
Go to the meat manager and explain to him. Look for Corey. If Corey's in the store, that
was my nickname in college.
Meat manager.
But go to them and explain to them you want register sausage. It's the best sausage. In fact, you might want to suggest they take the other ones out. But if you don't want to go that far, just say you want your register sausage. They got the andouille, which is the proper pronunciation, right?
Somebody mentioned that Timmy said they had register sausage this morning.
That's what we're talking about, Timmy.
We're killing it early in the chat here, early on. Yeah,
but if you don't live in the Southeast, you can have it delivered. Registermeats.com. They'll ship it to you. It'll come fresh and delicious. You will not regret it.
Boys, tonight, I've waited for this moment. The Platinum Bohica is on the line. I've been covering Florida State athletics for 23 years, and I've never been able to celebrate over an arch rival, a Platinum Bohica, and yet it could happen. And Corey, I will say this, 2 weeks ago, we wouldn't even really bring this up because there was no chance that the Bohica could be realized. But they're starting to come together. They're starting to play like a team. They're bothering to defend. They got the guys back. Confidence is growing. You never know at the TLC Double C tonight with something on the line like this, the opportunity to bring home the Platinum Bohica. We could celebrate tonight. This could be a moment. This could be a moment for Seminole Headlines, for Warchant.com, for the Jeff Cameron Show, and Noles everywhere to really mark on the calendar. Where were you when the Platinum Bohica was realized?
Here's what I want to happen. I want somebody to ask Leonard about it in the press conference. And Leonard goes, "What's a Bohica?"
That's going to happen.
And then the person has to explain what the acronym is. And then that's the end of the press conference.
I like that Noldad77 in the chat said that Registers needs to make the Bohica the promo code if they beat Miami tonight, which Ben might actually
do that. He would do that. Yes.
I'm not sure that his advisors would tell him that's a great idea, but Ben's, he's down with the people.
Yeah, I think it could happen. Now, you have to be delicate. Unfortunately, while we all revel in the accomplishment of a Platinum Bohica, it cannot be asked of the coaching staff their thoughts said accomplishment. It's just not something we can do. I wish one of you two excellent writers would somehow work it into the game story.
Maybe like the first letter of every sentence will start with the letters.
Like a yearbook post or something like that.
You work on that, all right?
I will. I'm trying to think of a letter like O and I are going to be the hard ones. Like, because then if it's a game story, how do you start a sentence with I?
How about in your column, your post-game column?
Oh, there you go. I can do that. The whole thing could just be Bohica, all the way down. I could do that.
Yeah. So, just somehow one of you two, my dear friends and great writers, somehow work in the Platinum Bohica. I've wanted this for all the years that I've been on the air.
It would,
it would be something.
If you could get Platinum Bohica, in your first whatever, however many. That would be.
That's the whole column.
Jeff,
that's 14 paragraphs. I think, and the thing is, it's not just about tonight. It's about, MJ Walker hitting a tying 3 down there the year of COVID. It's Raekwon Evans stepping up and burying 2 clutch free throws last year.
Yes,
it's about them almost blowing a 25-point halftime lead down there last year, but getting that stop. There's so many guys that came before it to make this a reality. I just don't want the players on the team tonight to feel that pressure, that weight of Scotty Barnes watching them, Vassell, Patrick Williams, Forrest, MJ, all those guys, Raekwon Gray, all the Raekwons are going to be tuned in tonight to see if they get that 10th in a row, and that could be a little extra weight.
So well said, Corey.
Thank you.
You got to acknowledge what made the Bohica possible.
Right.
How we could arrive at this place where we could be embracing the Platinum Bohica.
There have been so many different kinds of heartbreaks for Miami during this 10-game stretch.
Yeah.
There were some blowouts, sure. There were some games where it looked like Miami didn't belong on the court.
That's true for
Florida
sure.
State.
Yeah.
But some of these other games, like the one Corey mentioned last year, where they're down 20, they make this furious comeback and still lose.
Yeah.
Think about
they lose on free throws with 0.8 seconds left last year to Raekwon Evans. Yeah.
I wonder if I should reach out to the guys like Terrence Mann. The Clippers play a big game tonight against the Lakers. I wonder, and he'll know the result. He'll know the result as to whether or not the Noles were able to garner the Platinum Bohica over Miami before he takes the floor against LeBron and the Lakers. Do you think he'll be buoyed to know? Like, should I text him and be like, Terrence, it happened?
The best would be if one of those guys has a big night tonight and they bring him on like NBA on
and
TNT.
He mentions it.
And they're like, well, talk about the game you had tonight. You just poured in 24 points, whatever. Yeah, man, but we won the Bohica, guys.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it was a platinum, not just a standard Bohica.
What's after platinum? Like, what's the 20 in a row? What is that? Is that paper?
I mean, what are we doing here? Nobody's going to be. Yeah. I mean, nobody else ever able to win it again. Like, at that point, if you get 20 in a row, it's retired. That is the end of it. And by the way,
crazy when you think about it, pivoting to football a little bit is a bad football memory, but how close they were in 2017 to getting to, I think that would have been 8 in a row, right?
And
they gave up that stupid touchdown with 10 seconds left. If they win that game, it's 8 in a row. Who knows? And then, who knows what's going on?
That was
you at least would have gotten 8 in a row over Miami.
Now that I have to admit, I would have reveled and celebrated more in the Platinum Bohica with the football team more than I would the basketball team. I dreamt of that, thought it possible. It is, as Ira has written numerous times, these rivalries are rivalries of streaks where 6 in a row, 7 in a row happen sometimes. But none of us, I mean, we've been longing for the Platinum Bohica in football. I don't know that I hold out hope in my lifetime that that's ever going to happen. And also, guys, just so the people in the chat and those wondering, you cannot have a Platinum Bohica over programs that do not matter and cannot compete. So, for example,
was it like North Carolina and Clemson?
Right.
Like Clemson went
like
a million years.
Yeah. And we've beaten Duke every time we've ever played them in football. I mean, we've had a double Platinum Bohica. We've done everything you could possibly do to Duke. It's absolutely cruel and unusual. But whereas Miami has a distinct rivalry with Duke.
So they go back and forth, those two programs, Miami and Duke.
It goes back and forth, right?
Mostly Duke won.
Duke's kind of had the upper hand here lately.
Zyler and Tom Harwood in the chat. I think they're establishing some criteria. It looks like 20 is the double Platinum Bohica, 25 is the Diamond Bohica. And I think those are with them.
Diamond Bohica.
Yeah, that's good. Imagine getting there.
Diamond encrusted.
I don't think we could. Did Florida have that over Kentucky in football? Did they have a Diamond Bohica?
Now, but again, it's the same thing. Kentucky football.
You can't use it. Kentucky football.
It's rare in a rivalry.
It's rare. Period. 25 in a row against anybody. You can play Marshall in football 25 straight times. Doesn't seem likely you're going to win all of those.
Somebody's going to roll over to Larinaga, the old folks' home. Jim, I got bad news for you.
Yeah.
They just lost to the Noles again. 25 straight.
It's the Diamond Bohica, Jim.
It could be Leonard rolling over to him.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, that's on the line tonight.
It's not that long though, because this is only 4 years. I mean, you play each other twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year if you play them in the tournament, the conference tournament.
Larinaga's been on the wrong end of many of these moments.
Sure has.
I mean, is it all 10 of the Bohicas?
Yeah, he's been there.
He's been there forever.
Jesus, Jim.
Mm.
I mean, for as much as they laud the work he's done down in Miami, if you're a Cane, you got to look at him with a jaundiced eye.
He went
if on the wrong end of a Platinum Bohica.
Went to the Elite Eight last year, but lost 2 of these games. He could go to the Elite Eight one year and then next year get fired for giving up the Bohica.
Think about Miami fans coming into this game have to be like, that's right. Florida State swept us last year, and they were terrible. Like, Florida State was awful
Worst
last
Florida
year.
State team in 6 years.
Yeah. So they kept the dream alive, too. So like Corey said, we've got to acknowledge those that dug deep, found a way to keep this streak alive so that tonight's matchup is even a possibility. I woke up a little bit earlier than I normally do today, guys. A little pep in my step knowing that this was on the line tonight.
Remember when Wake Forest won the game here in the 30-0 game, and they like took off their undershirts said like Concord or something like that, I think is what it said.
Brutal, yeah.
What if they took off their shirts tonight, the jerseys tonight, and it just said Bohica?
Bohica, Platinum
Bohica. Platinum on the front, Bohica on the back. If we can get those printed this afternoon.
Tom wanted, so back when we thought this was a possibility, and we'll move on from this, but what Tom wanted me to do was present the Platinum Bohica to Miami. And I said, I'm not going to jail for this bit. I'm not going to jail because we had a whole idea of what it would look like, guys. And obviously it wouldn't be appropriate for me to walk over to Larrañaga with the
hand him a trophy,
holding the Platinum.
Yeah. No,
he would be like, who is this lunatic that has come down onto the floor to hand me this?
But Larrañaga's cooler than Coach K. Like, I don't think he's running for the exits.
No, he's not
like
scared.
Coach K when the students step on the floor.
Oh my God, they're gonna hurt me. Yeah.
By the way, apparently the student section is sold out tonight for the game. So that's, I mean, and we know why. The students haven't really been showing up in great numbers and droves this year, and there's a pretty good reason why. But it's good to know it'll actually be a home court advantage. Now they have the worst seats in the building because that's what Florida State does. But still, the students will be there behind the basket, one of the baskets. That's good news. That should make it a little harder, maybe, and helps you realize this dream that Jeff has had since he was a wee boy.
Well, long time, and we'll see. We'll see if it happens tonight. I don't know, guys. I mean, Miami's a good basketball team. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not make any assumptions here. Gonna have to dig deep once again. Don't even make this a possibility.
Don't count your Bohicas before they had. I've always said that.
I looked at their notes today accidentally. I clicked on the wrong link, and they have 4 guys, Miami does, whose career high is 30 points or more, including 3 guys that have scored 35 points in a college basketball game. Just throwing that out there. They're a pretty talented group.
And get shut the hell down tonight, baby.
That's right. That's right, son.
That's what's going to happen tonight.
They're a weird team. They've got some really nice wins. They have a much better record over the course of the season.
Sure.
They haven't been as good on the road like most teams. They're, I think they're undefeated. They're 11-0 at home. I think 4-4 away from home. So it's not like they're the same team necessarily when you get them at home. So that's a good thing for Florida State. They also have lost a couple of close games recently. And it's a new team. This is not the same team they had last year that went to the Elite Eight. They lost. They do have some guys back, but they have a lot of guys. They had a lot of turnover. They brought in some more transfers as well. So it's not exactly the same team, but I like the fact that Florida State has this is closer to what Florida State should have had this year.
Mm-hmm.
You still don't have Gainey, and you lost Cameron Fletcher during the year, but this is close with Bob and Miller. This is more like what a Florida State team looks like. So you feel good about that part of it.
Yeah, those were 2 good wins they had last week.
Second one's a really good win. The first one,
though, just going on the road and being up 32-8, against not a desperate team. They clearly didn't care to play, but still, like, that's not easy to do. A comfortable win on the road, and then kind of, took over the game late against a good team. That was both those wins kind of came out of nowhere, I thought.
Got to give Steven credit in the chat as we go to break and move forward with the show. He wanted to know if our wood guy, quote unquote, could make us Platinum Bohica.
Does he work with Platinum?
Thanks, Ken. I don't think he works with Platinum, but you never know. It's talking about Ken the Carver. And I wouldn't be surprised if he came up with something to celebrate the achievement if it happened, but I don't know if it would be
with that, Ken.
Yeah.
We do have
we're not putting it on the wall if it's not tastefully done.
As much as you can tastefully make a Platinum Bohica award or plaque, effort to do so, and we will We've got the others up. It looks good in the studio. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment. Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears is what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Thank you for calling the Medicare Help Desk. How can we help you?
Can you help me choose the right coverage for myself and my wife?
We sure can. We can help you choose from Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or standalone prescription drug plans from over 30 different insurance carriers.
How much does it cost? We have a fixed income and can't afford extra expenses.
At the Medicare Help Desk, the consultation is completely free. We are here to help.
Thank you, Medicare Help Desk.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. In my 17 years of experience, I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk, a place for you to get clear answers to all your questions and make sense of all the confusion. I've helped thousands of clients, and I live right here in Tallahassee with my family. I am active in my church and wish to help and serve my community. If you need help navigating the Medicare landscape, I'm easy to find. Just visit the MedicareHelpDesk.com. That's the MedicareHelpDesk.com.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk. I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
As a Walgreens pharmacist, I talk with people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling their Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using Refill by Scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, we got you, with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. Fill your way and save at walgreens.com/Medicare. See pharmacists for restrictions and exclusions.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Outside of basketball, gentlemen, good news again abounds for Florida State. That's all there is these days. We're just talking about this. It is a steady flow of good news, which is that junior day looks different these days. Better players, better prospects, better caliber athletes that are interested in perhaps attending Florida State. These things coincide with winning. We know that, but it's just nice to see them on campus celebrating Florida State's success.
Yeah, it's they've had now two of them. They had one the first week of January, and then they had one this past weekend. And the first one was a little smaller. This past one, I think they had over 50 kids and 50 young men. And I mean, it's a different level of player that they're bringing in recruiting now. And now, they have to have another good season to probably land some of those guys. But now you're in the mix now with players, that are, I mean, they have guys that are committed. I think a couple guys were committed to Georgia.
Yeah.
Came here on visits this weekend.
The tight end that was originally committed to Florida State, then committed to Georgia. We understand that. But then came back to visit and said he would be back again. So he knows Florida State's not going to give up, and he's now kind of at least mildly interested.
Yeah, so it's just and even talking to the players, we've been doing these interviews the last couple of weeks. These the newcomers, we had some today, and we had several last week. You look at the Jaheim Bells and some of these guys they're bringing in, and you realize Florida State already is bringing back. We talked about this last night on the Smash, Tom and I. When you look at this offense in particular, and I think the defense is a focus because it needs to get better. But when you look at the offense in particular, you're bringing back almost everybody except a couple of offensive linemen. And then, Trayshawn Ward left and, a couple other role players left. But you're bringing back everybody else, and then you're bringing in some elite talent to join them. I don't know, man. You start kind of getting excited about what this offense could be. It was really good last year. But how much better could it be with improved talent at particularly tight end?
Well, they averaged like 36 a game last year, something like that, 36, 37. I bring up the fact that I would like them to go even a little quicker. They should be one of the top 5 or 10 offenses in the United States, considering, like you said, what they did last year. I mean, they were putting up 40 on everyone at the end of the year. Should have put up close to 40 against Clemson if they convert a 4th down near the red zone or near the goal line. And then you're bringing Jeremiah Byers and Morlock and Jaheim Bell in. You're better at tight end. You might be better on the offensive line. We don't know. You're going to be probably as good. Your quarterback, everybody else should be even better because they're a year older and a year longer in the system. You're looking at 40 points a game? Like, that's a realistic goal and maybe a probable goal with the way they played to finish last season. But I feel like the one thing that I didn't like is like the Wake Forest game. I think they had 4 possessions in the first half, something like that. Like, I just think when you have this good offense, maybe you do speed it up just a little bit to make sure you get 1 extra possession a half.
It depends on if your defense is getting stops or not, because I think they're going to want to play complementary football to a varying degree. They weren't getting stops and they couldn't move the ball. It was frustrating. That was part of that 3-game stretch where we all look back and go, man, they weren't quite realized yet. They were something different after that. Now, part of that was they got better, learned from their mistakes, played to their strengths, but also the rest of the schedule was pretty weak until they got to that Florida offense, which was a good offense, and it moved the ball pretty easily on them, and then Oklahoma did as well. So it will be interesting to see how much better the defense is, because I think they will, Corey, play faster, to your point, if there's more trust and there's evidence that defense can get more stops against good offenses.
Yeah, and I think the and we just wrote about it on the site. We talked about it yesterday on your show, the improvement they made on the defensive line, bringing in, I guess that's 3 transfers now, Darrell Jackson, Braden Fisk, Gilbert Edmond, who we spoke to today, the defensive end from South Carolina.
Where else could he be from, Ira? They're all from South Carolina, buddy. We don't even have to say it anymore.
That pipeline, that tried and true pipeline from Columbia, South Carolina. But the improvement they've made there, along with the guys you're bringing back, your 2 best defensive linemen, 2 guys that 6 months ago we thought were both going to be in the NFL at this point, or preparing for the NFL at this point. Jared Verse and Fabian Lovett both decided to come back. Then you add them with these new pieces with some of the younger linemen we like. That's going to be the biggest difference. I know there's a lot of questions about, okay, who's going to start in the secondary this year with Jamie leaving, and who's going to start at, are they going to make an improvement at linebacker? But it all starts up front. We know that. We see that in every college football team that's successful. You have to be great up front. And I think they've got a chance to be better than what we saw last year, especially because they just held so many injuries last season.
Think about what their defensive line was against Louisville. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm trying, gang. Louisville, I don't know. It's Louisville. Kentucky. Louisville. That's where they make the Lagavulin. Is that Louisville? Is that a Louisville bourbon?
Exactly.
It's not.
But Fabian Lovett didn't play. Jared Verse got hurt very early in that game. Patrick Payton's getting his first real reps. Joshua Farmer's playing a ton. Malcolm Ray is Malcolm Ray. Derek McClendon is Derek McClendon. They're solid college football players, but they're not special. I think we can agree on that. But they're good enough. They're good enough to be in a rotation. And now you juxtapose that with who you're starting against LSU. Darrell Jackson might be a second teamer. Like, Darrell Jackson would have been a starter, I think, last year, especially with Cooper being hurt for most of the year. Now you got Fisk, Lovett, Daryl Jackson, Patrick Payton's a year older. Jared Verse might be the best defensive end in the country. Derek McClendon is serviceable. And then you have these younger guys coming up that might be pretty darn good. We'll see. That just
Dennis
the
Briggs.
defensive line might be like legitimately very, very good. And last year, I think on the whole, even though it had a couple of big names, Fabian didn't play most of the season, it was at best average. And now your defensive line is going to be probably pretty darn good. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, and I was making that point last year. I'm like, man, compared to the elite teams, the ones that you're trying to catch and surpass and be better than, Florida State's defensive line was not in the ballpark. They were not a Georgia or, any of the best defensive lines we saw. But they have a chance to be closer to that this upcoming year. I think that is absolutely true. And I'm excited about it because of what it can do for those linebackers. And I do think they've upgraded their ability to let guys play all out. The practice, the intensity, the reps, everything changes now that there's real competition and a depth of talent that they haven't had. Without question, this could be a much better defense.
Well,
it has to be, though, because there's a lot of pressure on that side of the ball as you're striving to try to win championships.
Yeah, if you're only good on offense, no matter how good you are on offense, you're always going to be going down to the wire. The thing I'd say, though, about what Corey mentioned, the Louisville game, not only was Josh Farmer thrown into a big role, but it was really the first time he had been thrown into a big role. And Adam Fuller made the comment a few times later, which I appreciated him saying, because when we watched that game, I remember watching that game thinking, this is not the guy we expected to see. Like, we've all been waiting for Josh Farmer to get an opportunity like this, and this isn't what we expected. And Adam Fuller said 2 or 3 times later in the year that when we put him out there against Louisville, we were like, who is this? Like, he wasn't himself. Like, he didn't play the way he had practiced. He was kind of overwhelmed by the situation. So now he's much better than he looked in that game. Not only did you not have some of your best players, but the guys who were thrust into action didn't rise to that moment the way they did later in the year. So, yeah, I just think the linebackers, I'm curious what you guys think. I talked about to Tom about this a little bit during the Smash. How much better might these linebackers be if that defensive front is this much better?
Yeah, they're clean. They have a chance to run sideline to sideline and play clean. And we know Tatum Bethune has very good instincts. His tackle numbers tell you that. He triggers. He's not a special athlete at the position, but obviously all linebackers are a lot better when they're not having to deal with guys getting to the second level. And I think he's good enough to have a much better season if he's cleaner. I think that's true of Deloach. I think, let's see what the freshman is. He's got the body type to be a really good player pretty early in his career, I think. He's a two-way player. Nicholson, let's see if he can get on the field and provide meaningful reps. You're not going to put the onus on him to be the leader of that linebacking core in his freshman season, but I do think he's built a little different and has a chance to play some meaningful snaps for you so you can have some depth there. Quality depth at that. And if all those guys, every one of those linebackers will tell you if they have an opportunity to run free, all they have to do is diagnose when they get to the spot. They're physical enough to make those plays. They're not special at linebacker, and they won't be even if that defensive line's better. But could they be appreciably better where we're all noticing that they make more plays? Hell yes, with a better defensive line. Yes.
And there's a chance maybe, again, we don't know what Braden Fisk is. We just know everybody wanted him. He might be awesome. He might be a monster. There's a chance they're special on the defensive line if they stay healthy. If Patrick Payton takes another leap to go along with your first-round pick on the other side, and then you have Fabian Lovett and Braden Fisk and Daryl Jackson and other guys in the middle, that's a chance to be a special defensive line. And if you're special at the defensive line and you're special at quarterback, and just have a really good offense in general, you got a shot to do some things. But I wanted to say, like, when it comes back to the defensive line, I'm really interested in the development of Lyons and Tafasi because I think there's real competition here, man. I think there's real competition to get on the field with Farmer, Tafasi, Lyons, these younger guys, and the older veteran guys. It's not going to be easy to get on the field, but it should raise their, as I used to say, I used to tell you this back in Thomasville, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I feel like if the whole defensive line is playing to this level, and the only way you can get on the field is to get much, much better, that's only going to help those young guys play better because they see it. They're going to see it every day in practice, what a good defensive tackle looks like.
I picture Ira on the drive home after having dropped Corey off with that sage advice, just repeatedly in his head thinking about what that means, how it can help him in his life. at the red light.
Reflect on it all the time.
All the time. This must have been a special moment. Were you at like Hardee's? What were you guys doing?
We were at George and Louis, right? At the Thomasville Staple. Yeah.
I'm just wondering when you uttered it, where you guys, I bet Ira knows for sure, but I'm just saying, like, in that moment, wow. And then we couldn't have known it, but years later, iron sharpens iron.
I mean, what are the odds that the same person would come up with both of those?
This is crazy.
It's like, probably George and Ringo would sit around talking about the things that Lennon and McCartney came up with. They're just like, how did they come up with those songs? And then we sit here and we get to listen to Corey Clark.
Well, I always thought, Corey, underneath your avatar on Twitter should be one of those great original sayings of yours. Yeah,
that's a thought. That's a thought. I just wish, looking in hindsight, maybe copyright them. I don't know. It seems like they get used an awful lot without my permission, but whatever.
People willy-nilly say it all the time.
Well, I do like when Corey makes the point to say that either on Wake Up Warchant or one of our different venues, and then someone in the comments will usually say, you didn't come up with iron sharpens iron, Corey.
I love people who don't get sarcasm. Awesome.
It's beautiful.
Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
3 people died following a 2-vehicle accident on State Road 263, also known as Capitol Circle Southwest, just west of Balkan Road in Leon County Friday night. An SUV operated by a 77-year-old man of Tallahassee was traveling east on Capitol Circle Southwest. For an undetermined reason, the SUV traveled into the path of another SUV that was traveling west, which led to a head-on collision. The man operating the SUV died, along with 2 individuals in the other SUV, a 63-year-old man and a woman, both of Tallahassee. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced Friday that they arrested 20-year-old Ashton Taylor Martin and 22-year-old Morgan Brent McRae in connection with a homicide. 39-year-old William Jonas Johns' body was found near the intersection of Midway Road and Nicholas Lane in Grady County. Officials were able to determine that the 2 people were present when Johns died. When they were located, they attempted to flee and a chase ensued. They crashed in a ditch in Thomas County and were apprehended. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 64 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tonight. Lows level off around 56. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Highs level off around 72. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 60.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise.
I'm Andy Cohen with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me at 850-671-FARM.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Hey, Greg Tish here along with Matty Rowe. And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We can talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
It's a new year and a new you, so give yourself a fresh start with MyBookie. Whether you bet to earn or to make the games more exciting, MyBookie gives you the most for your money with their redesigned deposit bonus. Yes, that's right. Just use promo code WARCHANT on a deposit of $50 or more to receive a cash bonus instantly to your MyBookie account. Using this bonus is simple. Bet your deposit amount just one time and you're ready to cash out. There's no strings attached with MyBookie. on the NFL, UFC, or play for a share of big cash prizes in the weekly online blackjack tournaments. So many brands to choose from. You need a platform that makes it simple to bet and win, like MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
I'd like you to do that next time without looking down. Just off the dome. Just memorize it and read it.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Or how about 2 languages?
There you go.
We'd be here a while. I got.
You took Spanish in high school?
I got very little in the way of the Spanish left. I'm 51 years old, Ira. Who's remembering all that Spanish, buddy?
Too old. You got life's too short, especially for you these days. Hey, I was going to say, before we get back to Florida State, I haven't gotten to talk about it, and I wanted you guys' opinion about the Cowboys' final play.
It's
because
awesome.
Now it was awesome. The way it ended was awesome. Just the guy just making a free run at Elliott and knocking him over, and then the kid catching an 8-yard pass, and that's it.
I'm disappointed that nobody took a free run at the quarterback. Like, that would have been the ultimate play. Like, take out Zeke and take out.
Yeah, both of them at the same time. But I don't like when you watch all this nonsense, throw it 5 yards and then lateral it back and forth for 10 minutes, it inevitably ends up with a touchdown for the other team. I like what they were trying to do. Like if you watch it, the linemen on each side are kind of slowly moving forward. And as soon as the first lateral happens, they're going to start rushing forward. And you got big dudes in front of you to at least maybe get a block or two.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're clearing the way to the end.
But so why not put like 10 pretty athletic dudes out there and make it more like a kick return? Because I'm tired of it. Football, all you coaches out there, and I know we got high school coaches and college coaches watching this, the throw it screen pass when you need to go 80 yards and think you're going to lateral it down the field 80 yards always ends horribly. It hasn't worked once. So try something else.
I love that Dak was actually he throws the pass, and the guy that's rushing the quarterback, he runs or he like sprints around him to come up. He was going to be one of the lateral options.
Yeah,
which I think would have been fantastic.
And then he's going to throw it to the other side of the field, and then you got that wave of blockers out there. Like the best one that was ever done that I've seen recently, and I know people bring up the Dolphins against the Patriots that one time, but you also had Gronk playing safety, and they were in a Hail Mary defense. You have 5 49ers standing 55 yards from the play that aren't moving until you get near them. So I like what Auburn did in the 13 championship game. That kind of worked, but still he had 60 yards to go against the track team. But let's not if we're going to just not do Hail Marys anymore, I like that the Cowboys at least tried to do something different.
I'll give you that. And I'm not, apparently if you judge by what ESPN does with their broadcast, and I'm sure Fox Sports too, half the world loves the Cowboys and half the world absolutely hates the Cowboys. That's why they have to be the focus of everything. So I'm not one, I don't really care one way or the other.
Yeah.
I just did love the way first you get the receiver that just nonchalants his way out of the sideline without getting 2 feet down. I would
Lear is my man.
When no defender within 30 yards of him. That was classic. Then they end up having to like do this play from their own 20 when they should have been up
somewhere in Hail Mary range.
Yeah.
And then I love San Francisco calling the timeout. Like, I don't even think they were working on anything. They're just like, let's just enjoy this moment. Let's just enjoy Dallas's ineptitude.
Yeah.
What we've seen over these last 30 seconds.
So apparently they ran a very similar play a year ago.
Oh, okay.
That same situation with zero success. Yes, in the same situation.
What I like is that they saw that Elliott was going to be the center. They called timeout and told their linebacker, hey, just go knock him over.
And he was just like he didn't know he was eligible to be hit.
Yeah.
Like in flag football, like you're not allowed to hit me. Like what do you?
He just walked up and knocked on his ass.
He didn't defend himself.
And Elliott's a big dude. Yes. That's why I was like, get your base, man.
He never expected they were going to run him over.
Yeah, just run him over. And the poor guy that catches it gets hit simultaneous. It's like, catch, bam.
And the best thing about that moment from let's all laugh at them together was the fact that it wasn't during the regular season. So everybody's watching this game, this moment. The game's still somewhat. There's a lot of embarrassing moments that happen that people don't all see it live.
Right.
But everybody saw this live and everybody went to Twitter, and that was a pretty funny 20 minutes.
I know the situation is tough to negotiate because of the power the man holds, but at some point you would think somebody that cares for Jerry Jones would pull him aside and say, we got to get out from view of the camera.
No, we're doing an interview media scrum right after the game.
I don't need you all up in the box, like omnipresent every time the camera pans your way, Jerry. Things are looking rough. The darkness is creeping upon you. We're going to have to, let's just protect you a little bit here.
And it was such a way, I didn't see his whole interview, but he starts off by saying he's not going to let this game define how he views the coaching staff. But then he says, but this is sickening.
Oh,
this performance was sickening.
And then the guy tries to follow it up and he was just sick.
Just sick. Just say, I'm about to throw up. I'm about to throw up.
Come on, man. You knew that was going to happen. There was nobody realistically looking at that going, yeah, they're going to go cruise into the Super Bowl. They wouldn't have won if they had won that game. That was the end of the line.
I thought you guys were going to beat them just by showing up and not choking.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And also, like, I don't watch game day very much either, but I certainly don't watch NFL pregame shows. But you can't convince me anybody finds that enjoyable. You've got 7 dudes standing next to each other, saying one sentence each, laughing at nothing, literally laughing at nothing. Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson, what are they adding at all? There's why not just have 3 people up there actually breaking down the game instead of putting on a whole starting 11 to just say one sentence each and laugh and guffaw at each other and then go to commercial?
The uncomfortable part is they're trying to fit Gronk into that along with Sean Payton. So you have 7. It's not normally 7. But that's absurd. 7 guys. There's no way to have a conversation with 7
Imagine
people.
this show with
people in here talking. I mean, what are we doing? It's hard enough for the 3 of us. Now throw 4 in. Well, no, I got to say something. You got to say, he's going to say something. No, it's my turn. It's impossible. It's crazy. Yeah, I thought Sean Payton probably loved every minute of what happened this weekend, sitting back. I mean, he's going to be offered a job somewhere, and I'm sure that price has gone way up. But yeah, it's nuts. And at some point, you could listen to and watch, I don't know, 50 Gronk interviews in the course of his career, and all of them would tell you that guy should never be there in the studio, right? Every one of them lets you know, he's not the ideal candidate, guys. He's only breaking it down like Tony Romo. He's got zero idea. He's really physically gifted, very, very good, has no idea what he's talking about. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment. If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher, and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests or the structure of your biggest investment from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest. And a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques, so whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Seminole Headlines rolling on. We'll get to headliner questions in the second hour. By the way, boys, just as it seems to be every week, next week we go in for Birch Orthodontics and got it righted. We're all good. This is it. It's the final investment. I'm on the home stretch.
Nice.
On the home stretch. Everything's gone well. I'm pleased. I celebrate. And soon we'll be celebrating their 20th anniversary and all that good stuff, too. We'll have to tell more people about that. But I'll be there on Thursday. If anybody wants to swing on by, Birch Orthodontics.
Thanks. Maybe we can go there and hit Horizons afterwards.
I like it.
I think Corey just had us do a segment on the Cowboys. We need to turn that into the thumbnail so we can get some extra pop.
There you go. Exactly. Just making fun of the Cowboys. I was going to say, too, just sticking with pro football real quick, has there ever been a player that accomplished, I'm not trying to be rude, but so little at Florida State that has turned into almost basically a star like Josh Sweat?
So I brought up Josh Sweat yesterday on the show. And
he's really good, man. He's almost a dominant NFL football player right now.
Did you read the article in The Athletic? Have you guys read it yet? The new one? I think it's new. Somebody shared it recently. So it's fascinating. I mean, he's always been a really smart guy and interesting guy. If you remember back in the day, and part of the things in this story was about how he used to build his own computers. And
hey, let me correct you, Ira. We didn't know that at all until Josh Sweat's pro day.
Pro day is when we found out.
We didn't get to talk to Josh Sweat a lot when he was here.
But we knew he was smart. If you talked to him for 2 minutes, you knew he was smart.
Yes.
On pro day, we found out, he used to build computers. But that's in the article. But he talks some about his days at Florida State. And one of the things he says was, and one of the revelations for Corey and I and anybody else who was covering him at the time, he played his whole career here with that knee brace because he had the devastating injury in high school. And then he shows up at pro day with no brace. And we were all like, yo, what's going on here? Like you had that brace for 3 years. And his agent said, basically, we had a conversation. We're like, look, man, you have to show your explosiveness. But he talked about how in college, he never felt like his job was to go get the quarterback. He literally felt like his job was more to set the edge and just do his job, which to me feels like a failure in coaching.
You think they might have screwed it up? Let me just say this, my man.
It should have been implicit that, no, we want you to go get the quarterback, Josh, like you're doing in the NFL against these NFL offensive tackles. Do it here in college.
Craig Yarbough can just stand there. I mean, you know what I mean? And I love you, Craig, but good.
My man went in the 4th round, pick 130. He finished here in 2018. If you just say that out loud, you know the deal. You know what was going on at Florida State in 2018. And you know why that perhaps a player of his caliber was not showcased as well as he could have been.
Well, going back to the end of his career was the worst of Jimbo Fisher's tenure.
It was awful. It was, And so there you were at the end of all that. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm happy for him. By the way, since we're bringing it up, I brought this up too. Noddy played great in the Kansas City game, had a sack, made 2 really big plays. Think about how much success Noddy's had. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a valued contributor to a team that is annually in contention to go back to the Super Bowl. So and that's a guy that, I think if you're a Florida State fan, you got to be really proud of because he's done a lot of cool things in the community. Right. He's a good dude.
Yeah, and you would definitely root for him if you watched the interviews. Now, like Corey said, we didn't get a ton of access back in those days, but Noddy was a guy that liked talking to the media. And when we talked to him, you could tell he had a big personality, but also was just really bright, like a really smart guy. Both those guys.
And by the way, I wanted to get y'all's take on something. Who is the linebacker from Duluth that we talked to today, Ira, that's up on our site right now? DeMarco Ward. So did you check? Did you notice that he didn't call him Coach Norvell or Coach Shannon? My man's calling him Mike and Randy.
Then he would throw in last names sometimes.
Yeah, when I was talking to Mike and I was like, oh, he's going to correct himself and say Coach Norvell. He goes, Mike Norvell. It's like, yeah, man, we know who you're talking about. Because sometimes I get grief for not calling him Coach Norvell. Is there what do you think? Like, I just thought it was funny, but it strikes your ear different when you hear a player refer to a coach just with his first name.
Only because it's Mike. Because this is what we've said. The players always call Jimbo Jimbo.
Yes,
and
correct. Yeah, you're right.
Normal. And that's why I've always been like with Norvell. Mike seems, I don't know, it's such a generic name. It's just like
casual.
And just for some reason it doesn't feel the same as Jimbo did in terms of if you're just going to use a first name.
Do Clemson players call Dabo?
Probably.
I've never heard them say Dabo does this.
Nickname.
Clown should be one of them, but I don't think I've ever heard any of their players should say, well, Dabo told me the other day. I've never heard them say that.
Do you think Georgia guys say Coach Smart or say Kirby? I think there's a lot of those guys that probably say Kirby.
I wonder if it's like the name itself.
I'm saying
Kirby.
it is the name itself. That's my point.
Because it's fun to say Kirby. It's fun to say Jimbo. It's not, I mean, I can guarantee you there aren't many like Alabama defensive ends saying Nick, I got a question to ask.
Nobody's saying Nick.
But it's Nick. Like if he had a cool name like Norby, if he was Norby Saban, they would all call him Norby.
I think that's what it is. I think that's the issue, is because Mike and Nick are so generic. Jimbo and Kirby, you know exactly who you're talking about. When you just say Mike, it's like, I don't know. Plus, the Florida State fan base has come up with so many different Mikes. There's Money Mike, Memphis Mike. There's some mid Mikes. There's been a lot of different Mikes.
Mike's got a brand, by the way, and I've watched it play out within my friend group. So many of my friends now have the hoodie.
Oh, everybody loves the hoodie.
Mike has sold more of those hoodies than Nike could have ever dreamt of, man. He ought to get it. Well, he didn't need any more money, but
Stephanie says, and I'm sure you guys will agree with this, that he is extremely attractive. Mike,
I've never thought about it, but honestly, it's awesome that Stephanie does.
So one time her friends were in town.
All the time out like the 49ers, so we can all just sit here and soak this up.
Hey, I'm fine, man. I'm secure with this.
Oh, I know.
We were
Matthew.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude. But we were at the when they get off the bus, whatever the thing is called before the game. I was there the one time, the Legacy walk. And he got off the bus right in front of Stephanie and I and her friends.
Did you feel it move?
Stephanie basically swooned like it was a beetle. Like she almost fell into my arms. She's like, oh my gosh. And then the woman next to us that wasn't with us is like, he's incredibly handsome. He's almost striking. And I'm like, all right, calm down, ladies. They're about to play Clemson. We got to get your minds right.
This is nuts. Corey
calling another timeout.
There's no.
Why did he became the host when he goes to Atlanta? He's 2 segments in a row. He's gone to NFL right off the bat.
I don't mind that he went to the NFL because we are in a downtime. It's not like a ton is going on, so you can't only break down the defensive line so much. That's fine, especially if it's a goofy play. I spent a good amount of time yesterday talking about how it's impossible for head coaches to be this bad at clock management for as long as they have been.
Yeah.
And that's a pet peeve of all of ours. But it was on display again over the weekend in ways that just are staggering.
Just like Norvell's handsomeness is always on display.
Just staggering, Corey.
Staggering handsomeness.
Yeah.
You just spent 20 seconds trying to dig him out of whatever he has led us into.
He brought it back.
And then he's just like, no, let's go back. I want to go back.
I want your theory.
I think clock management.
Genetics, I guess, right? It's probably had a good-looking dad and a good-looking mom.
He's done.
I think clock management it's one of those things in the world that seems so much easier from our couch.
No, it is that easy.
Being on this.
Nope. That easy. I thought about it in games when I played. It's that easy. You know when the hell you're supposed to take a timeout. It's not hard.
Then they're all idiots.
They're all idiots.
Okay.
They're the smartest football coaches
theory
in the world, and yet they panic. Somehow, how do you not have a guy?
Because
how do you not have a guy? You need one guy, Ira. I'm not telling you the head coach isn't busy. One guy. Hey, coach, we're going to have to do this. I do like that Rebecca said that her grandmother sends her Norvell picks multiple times.
Just saying, guys.
You see Corey at warchant.com.
No, don't do that.
I'm going to let them play music and turn everybody's mic off. We're leaving. Hour number 2, headliner questions forthcoming. Stay with.
dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Tampa Bay Lightning, $1.55 home ice favorite against the Minnesota Wild today. The Wild plus 135 underdog, 6.5 under the total at Amalie Arena. Tampa Bay 17-4-1 at home this season. Florida State, a 2.5-point dog at the Tucker Center against the Miami Hurricanes. The total, 149.5. Florida State has won 2 straight after a 71-64 win at Pitt. AFC title game at Arrowhead Stadium on Sunday. The Chiefs have been bet to a 1.5 underdog at home. The Bengals are the favorite with 88% of the money. Eagles laying 2.5 against the 49ers in the NFC title game. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at VSIN.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You used to associate crickets with silence. But since you bought a house in the suburbs, you know crickets hate silence. If any other creature realized rubbing its legs together made a piercing, high-pitched noise, they might think, maybe I won't do that. Constantly. All night long. Luckily, you can save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. Now that's something to make noise about. Just not constantly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/energy to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/energy.
Hey Tallahassee, it's Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. You're probably driving right now, which means you're surrounded by glass. Did you know that each piece is made differently? Your windshield is 2 sheets of glass with a thin plastic in between. This allows it to take an impact without going all the way through. Side and back glasses are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-16. Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Our
number 2, Seminole Headlines. Headliner questions on the way. The hour brought to you by our friends at Register Sausage. No, it's not. Although it is. It's kind of a mistake. It's not a crazy mistake. It's Birch Orthodontics. She also sponsors Hour 1. The two of them sponsor both hours. But traditionally, I lead with Birch Orthodontics in this hour.
Officially, Register sponsors the whole show. And this is Dr. Birch's hour, which is part of the whole show. So it wasn't incorrect.
Yeah,
but we've already
gave extra love, just a little cross promotion. Birch Orthodontics.
And they don't mind, man.
No.
They're all part of the same happy family.
The best in the business. Stop moving around in there, Corey. We can all.
I got a chair that doesn't creak as much.
I texted him that, and he told me to shut up. Well, I like the fact that you now corrected him on it.
It was very loud in the first hour.
I know. I got a different chair. It doesn't creak as bad. See, you can barely even hear it now.
Well, let's just stop all that wiggling. Sit still.
Sorry, I can't. I see where Brady gets it.
12-year-old son just can't keep it together. Has to get up, walk around, take math.
Just so excited about what we were talking about the end last hour.
So you're going to Dr. Birch later this week? Is that what you said?
Yes, I am Thursday. Yeah.
You might. There's no telling who you're going to see because, really,
it's a social gathering.
It is. It's the place to be.
I've seen tons of people that listen to this show, my show, read all the stories on warchant.com, listen to Wake Up Warchant, all the stuff.
So when I went in there to talk to Dr. Birch a couple weeks ago about her 20th anniversary, which is this year, and we're going to have more information about it. It was actually her birthday, 28th. And
wow, she's been doing this since she was 8. Awesome.
They actually, her staff had gotten her a surprise birthday cake, and they brought it out to her while I happened to be there. And she
shared cake?
They offered the cake. I turned it down.
You turned it down, yeah.
Politely. But they said that they felt like we are part of the family.
Oh, how about that?
They felt like it was good to have the celebration while I was there. But if you guys were there, it would have been the same thing. And Corey could have told everybody how good they look because he is the
hype man.
Mark wants to know, why on earth do men's college basketball play halves when everybody else at all levels plays 4 quarters?
Women's college basketball used to do halves too. They switched to kind of go along with like the international game, and the men have like, nope, we're not doing it.
Why not?
Good question. I don't know.
No reason.
One of the reasons the women's game wanted to incorporate it was because they thought it would make more excitement, more end of quarter situations.
Yeah.
I guess college basketball is like, no, we're good.
No, we like it. We don't want any excitement. We want to be as boring as possible. We don't need all that excitement, everybody.
What would Leonard do when a guy got 2 fouls in the first quarter?
Well, same as he does in the first half.
So they just wouldn't play the whole
never
second
play
quarter.
ever. Yeah. And I love Leonard. Damn it, man. That's just asinine a lot of times. It just is. But I love him.
It's both of you guys. I understand where he's coming from, but I understand your frustration as well. I'm in the middle.
I mean, if it's a guard, just tell him, hey, man, don't reach anymore. We need you on the court, though. Don't get a foul.
But the problem is he feels like defense is so important that he doesn't want guys out there not being committed to defense. He doesn't want them just kind of coasting.
When you have
defense.
Precious few people who can put the ball in the basket,
I agree.
You're going to have to.
I agree. I understand where you're coming from, but
that's a toughie. Speaking of Register Sausage, by the way, they did chime in. Our boys chimed in. Fellas, with FSU baseball a few weeks away, how are we feeling about the season? It's an actual question.
And there's a hashtag.
And wrote, well, it's just links for link and sausage fam.
There you go. I think we're all excited about the baseball season.
Very.
Right?
My neighbor came over the other day, saw me out in the yard working. He's very respectful. He doesn't try to bother me with sports questions.
When does he know when it's okay to approach you and when it's not okay? Have you set those ground rules with the whole street?
Early on, I let the neighborhood know. Just because I'm here doesn't mean you have access. So, yeah, but no, he and I get along swimmingly. He's a great guy, and anyhow, he did say that he's been thinking a lot about Florida State baseball lately. I feel like there's a rather sizable contingent that echoes that sentiment. I do. People are pumped. Ready to go. That's a good thing. And how do we feel is the question. What do we think about the team? I think they're going to be good. I don't know if they're Omaha good yet, but I think they'll be buttoned up. I don't think guys are going to get picked off of first with a runner occupying second. It happened here.
You know, one thing I'm excited about, one thing I'm really looking forward to seeing is, well, not that, but also, Chuck Restano, the pitching coach, like he's one of these guys that really believes, if you read some of the comments he's made in the past and the conversations we've had with him since he's been here, he believes that the pitcher's approach on the mound really sets the tone for the whole team. And if the pitcher looks like he's competing and in control, that affects your whole team, your whole defense. And I'm a firm believer in that. Now, if a guy throws 98 with great stuff, then, maybe it doesn't matter what he looks like on the mound.
Right. He's missing
but
bats.
I feel like the presence on the mound is something that was not when Parker Messick was out there. Yes, he has it. But a lot of the other guys that they threw out there on the mound did not have that presence. I want to see now, again, if you don't have good stuff, you got the best presence in the world and you're going to get shelled. But I'm excited to see that part of it.
Justin writes, a thread on the boards got me thinking today. What changes schematically would you all like to see on defense in 2023? And then he writes, more/better zone play, less vanilla scheme overall. They didn't run a vanilla scheme. They run what a lot of people run. I think the upgrade in talent, specifically at defensive tackle, will allow us to dial up some better looks on defense. I think you can get it. You can have a greater variety of looks up front because of your depth. You can slide some guys inside. You can go real big. You can do a lot of different things up front. I do believe you can give a different look up front. I just think that there will be an improvement now that you have an improvement in teaching zone concepts on the back end to some degree. But Florida State, to me, it wasn't really scheme that was the problem. They just needed to get better players and a better depth of talent. We'll see. I mean, they do have to be able to run zone better. They have been lost in zone for much of Norvell's time here.
I mean, goes back to
it goes back
a long time.
Yeah,
they weren't running great zones with Harlan Barnett either.
A little frustrating. No, Harlan Barnett didn't do anything.
I thought you were going to go further back than Harlan Barnett. Yeah, well, Harlan Barnett didn't run anything real well.
No.
Let me ask you this though. So, and I guess this is where, like, I know I come off like I'm apologizing for Adam Fuller, which I shouldn't. They had a good defense last year overall, but I think it bothers me a little bit when people they point to, okay, there's a busted coverage. Well, teams, they run all those bunch sets to get busted coverages.
Yeah.
Like you see them in the NFL.
They're pick plays.
And so it's not like that's all my point is people feel like this is fundamental stuff that never happens to anybody else. It's like, man, watch college football games, watch NFL games. Those things happen. You like to happen less.
Yeah.
But I think with better players, the schemes are going to look a lot better.
They didn't have a ton of busts.
No, but there was one late last in the Florida game, right?
Florida game for sure. I think somebody brought this up on Wake Up Warchant that how hard it is to communicate at home for the defense when the crowd is being so loud. And it makes sense. It's hard to communicate. You can't hear each other, because they're trying to make it hard for the offense. Now, you don't want to tell the crowd to shut up. You want them to be the 12th man, but sometimes that could – I mean, I feel like most of their busts are at home when the crowd's all excited. Think about the Notre Dame game last year with the best tight end in the country just waltzing free because they can't communicate. Now, that's not an excuse. Get better at communicating. But you think when they practice, maybe when they're practicing for a big home game, they put the crowd noise on for that too to get the defense used to it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, gang.
See them play better and get more stops. I do think their zone has been terrible and some of their technique. Listen, I was openly calling for a new secondary coach. We got one. I'm not going to sit here and bitch. Let's see what happens.
But
I think they got a guy that's going to teach it well.
Yeah, and you're talking about fundamentals. I don't know that with Randy Shannon and Adam Fuller in that room that Patrick Surtain's going to come in and change schemes.
He's not going to come in and change schemes. Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely correct.
You know what? Real quick, though, it's not even a scheme. The thing I like in the NFL a lot, the 49ers did it a ton. So did somebody else this weekend. They will have 7 dudes at the line of scrimmage, 3 dudes standing up looking like they're ready to blitz at all times. Now, they don't always do that. Most of the times they don't actually. They fire back out. But Florida State doesn't do that a ton. I would like to put some pre-snap pressure on the quarterback by not knowing who's rushing, who's coming, where they're coming from. Make it a little more confusing with guys at the line of scrimmage instead of playing in a base 4-3 with your nickel slot, your safeties. Like, I would like to see a little more guys closer to the line of scrimmage maybe coming.
You can do it if you have better players that are
capable. True. Well, hey, you got them now, baby.
Well, they're getting there. They're still not elite linebackers, so we'll see. Let's see how much they can do. That not elite at safety right now. So.
San Francisco is maybe elite at linebacker.
Yeah,
man, they're good grief. Their linebackers are nuts.
Yeah,
you can do some things with those guys.
You can. They're versatile, Corey. They can do a lot of things, man. Butch writes, "Hello, boys. I'm curious if the talk about FSU potentially playing in Ireland actually has a chance. Have you heard this?
I mean, just that it's out there because they met with the guy. But I mean,
let's go.
Okay. We're not breaking that news here. It could happen. It could happen because Ireland wants games, and
yes, they do.
Teams are going over there, so Florida State certainly could be in that mix.
So I pseudo did work this past year, or worked with Nebraska, who played their first game over there in Ireland, and talked with Sean Callahan, who runs their site.
Other than the game, how was the experience?
Yeah, the experience was incredible. Their players and all the people that chimed in on the shows we did said that it was awesome, and that people in Ireland embraced football. They wanted to know more about it. They loved it. The stadium experience itself was fantastic. I've actually been to Ireland, spent 10 days there, went all drove throughout the island. And yeah, man, I would echo those sentiments. So if we get a chance to go over there, that won't suck. Just letting you know.
They have ships to Ireland, right? Like you don't have to fly, right?
You're getting on a plane, my man.
Maybe for Ireland. For Ireland, I might.
Yeah, I think you would do it. David writes, I admit that I've had a hard time buying that we could be talking about a playoff contender next year. Then I thought about history. FSU played in the first BCS championship game and won the last one. They played in the first 14 playoff. Might they win the last one? So, and then he gets
some
into all
symmetry
that.
there. I like that.
And he gets into some of the other aspects of it. It becomes a novel. So I think we should stop there. That'd be
Plus, 93, 2013 with the threes. Got the threes going.
Let's go.
You don't want to skip another three. You don't want to 03. You're looking for another national title. But again, like last night, Tom and I were talking about it on the Monday Smash. You when you look at this offense, it's hard to not like you catch yourself talking about how good this team can be, and you feel like, what am I doing here? But then you realize, man, there's reasons across the board to be really excited about this team. Why would you not be excited about this?
Yeah,
why would you not think this team has legitimate chance?
Well, I think it's reasonable, like fair-minded, reasonable, well-balanced, and fans can think to themselves, man, Florida State's gonna be really good next year. That doesn't mean you think they're gonna win the national title. It just means you think that they're one of the 10 to 12 best teams in the country.
With a shot.
Who wouldn't be pumped up about that? Like, I mean, I am. I think they are. Doesn't mean I think they'll win the national title. Does mean I think that they are a contender. Corey and I just got done doing a video with Gene, and we talked about that very thing. I think it's a no-brainer to say that they're a playoff contender. How can they not? TCU just went to the playoff and played for the national title. They were sub 500 the year prior. Florida State has shown much more evidence that they are closer to a run like that than TCU did. Now, again, that was an outlier, but I believe Florida State has shown enough evidence that they could be in the playoffs. Doesn't mean they'll get there, but they certainly have enough talent to get there, and they're going to have some things to overcome along the way in order to do it. I don't think they're going to be an elite defense next year.
Well, but Corey said earlier, you potentially have an elite quarterback. You've got some elite skill players. You potentially got an elite defensive line. I think the offensive line is going to be better than it was this year. I really.
I don't know what that is. But
I think the offensive line is actually going to be better next year than it was this year. I really like the guys they brought in.
I agree with you, by the way.
Okay, well, there you go.
No, we're on the same
page. So
now,
I mean, again, the elements you're looking for, they've kind of got those elements.
The offense is going to, I think we can just say it. Again, you can never, you don't know who's going to get hurt, who isn't. But as they stand today, looking at what they've brought in and what they have coming back, you can safely just say straight up, Florida State will have a very good offense next year, period. It's full stop. Yeah. You don't have to qualify it with anything else. They will. Todd writes, which previous FSU team will the 2023 team most likely resemble? 2012, very talented, but falls just short. 2013, put it all together. 2017, huge expectations, but a disaster.
I would be surprised if it was the last one.
So in 2017,
what if Jordan Travis breaks his leg in the first game?
But see the difference
again. We don't know about.
But even with that team wasn't. People point to like, oh, Jimbo stopped carrying when DeAndre got hurt. Jimbo had kind of stopped carrying the year before. Jimbo didn't even want to be here that year.
Correct. I was screaming from the mountaintop, guys, we're in trouble. This is not going where we think it's headed. I mean, there were real warning signs. Now, I don't blame the fans who maybe didn't see that. And this isn't one of those I told you so. It's that if you're not there and you don't get an opportunity to kind of talk to the people around the program on a daily basis, we know certain people within the athletic department that we have as sources. I talked with Jimbo every Sunday, and I saw the instability of his personality and where that was headed, like some of the problems in his life. There were a lot of telltale signs that things were not going to go well. I don't know that the fans knew that, but You could sense it.
Well, and it wasn't one of those situations because somebody might hear that and say, well, I don't remember Ira writing that. I don't remember Corey writing that. When you're still winning 10 games a year, it's hard to go, well, this is a disaster. But DeAndre's injury masked the problems that were underneath the program. And so when he got hurt, it was easy to point to that. But that wasn't the reason that team stunk. And so if something happened to Jordan or any player on this team this year, the entire foundation of your program is not going to be collapsed because of that.
They got a really good culture.
Yeah. The foundation was already broken before that injury and before that game.
Corey, you don't have anything to say on this point?
I was worried about your mic. Your mic was worrying me a little bit. It sounded a little staticky, like a drive-through again. We good? We all good there?
Yeah, I think we are. I don't know what it is.
But I do agree. I think it's a better foundation. But I think if Francois doesn't get hurt in 17, just by sheer talent, I mean, Josh Sweat, the great Josh Sweat, apparently, Derwin, Cam Akers. I mean, you're probably going to win 8 or 9 games. It doesn't fall off a cliff like it. I mean, they were 3-6.
They didn't lose games. They didn't lose to BC because of talent.
Yeah, but by that time they were 3-5. Like they didn't have an offense that could move. They had James Blackman wasn't good, and he was a true freshman that wasn't good. So you beat Miami with DeAndre Francois. You just do. So maybe they have a different feeling on the season. But again, that's a 9-win season in an easy conference that masks the underlying foundation where it was just going to crumble. It was getting worse and worse. I'm not disagreeing with you, but there's no way they're 3-6 if DeAndre Francois is the quarterback through the first 9 games. There just isn't. But they still wouldn't have been what we thought they were going to be.
I say it is. I just think the program.
We'll never know, but I think that the program was careening off the road there, and I think they were in trouble. I also think they could have accidentally won a few more games, obviously, if they'd had somebody other than James Blackman playing quarterback.
Or if they coached differently with a freshman quarterback who had never played college football.
Correct.
Before.
Will the ACC have FSU play its toughest conference opponents 3 in a row again in October for 2023 as they did in 2022? Well,
when does that come out?
Monday.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, next Monday.
All right.
Make a show of it, right? Yeah, so we'll know.
But here's the thing about that. When the schedule came out, people at Florida State felt pretty good about that schedule. Nobody was like, oh, no, those 3 games are a disaster, because there were some nice things about it. You got the week before Clemson off. You got the week before LSU off. Was that correct? The week after LSU off. So the way it worked out, it wasn't like people went into that year thinking that stretch is going to doom them. And I don't know that it was. If they beat NC State, I think that stretch comes out differently.
You also got Wake right after they played Clemson, and you got NC State right after they played Clemson, and then you got a week off before Clemson. Like there was no the schedule wasn't the reason they lost those games.
No, wasn't a problem. And by the way, this year they're suited to paste the vast majority of the teams on the schedule, no matter what order they're put in.
You know what I'm interested in? Florida State typically, and I know fans don't really like the non-Saturday games, but they were good to Florida State this past year. And also, if you have a guy that you really think can make a run at a Heisman, playing in a conference that doesn't get a lot of national attention, Florida State might again be lined up for a couple of Friday night games, I would think, this year. I don't think they'd be upset with that.
Yeah, well, the Florida game won't happen. I don't think Florida would want it, and it's their choice because it would be there. I don't think they thought of doing it this year, but I don't think it's something they want to do. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I know a lot of people don't like it because it conflicts with high school football.
I hate it. I hate it across the board.
And there's, parents of players I know that don't like it because they think high school football should be Friday night.
But when you have all eyes on your program, you know that's your only chance to get it unless you're playing Clemson and it means something. That's your only chance to get it.
I understand the point you're making, but we're not some bitch ass program that nobody's watching.
And if you're top 10 next year, they're going
to be watching. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
This is Ken Wondergem, owner of Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, serving North Florida and South Georgia for over 20 years. And I'm happy to announce that things are finally back to normal at Gem Mazda. Our lot is loaded with brand new Mazdas for the first time in 2 years. So if you've been waiting for the price and selection of new cars to return to normal, the wait is over at Gem Mazda, where we've always provided our customers with the highest quality of service and care. You know Mazda's reputation for efficient, dependable, and affordable vehicles, but you simply must experience the luxurious new lineup of 2023 Mazdas in stock now at Gem Mazda during our New Year's sales event. Get adventurous and connect with nature in a brand new 23 Mazda CX-50 with all-wheel drive. But hurry in while the value of your trade is still high. At Gem Mazda, we take our slogan seriously. No games, no gimmicks, just a gem of a deal. Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, Capitol Circle Northwest, just up from West Tennessee Street, and always open at gemmazda.com.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Z-Chan wants to know who's going to be at the game tonight. I'll be there with bells on. Let's go. Maybe a repeat score from this fall, right? Z-Chan. 45-3 is tough to do in basketball.
But a 42-point win.
But a 42-point win. Okay. Yeah. I like the idea of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Z-Chan. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Z-Chan, as always. Corey's in Atlanta. He won't be there. Ira and I will be there.
We will.
There you go.
I don't know if I'm going to be wearing bells this time. Maybe.
I like that you do that. It's a tradition that many journalists have really been that loyal.
Are you going to rush the court, Jeff, if they win?
No, I'm in a box, Corey. I can't get down.
You can't get down there. Good point. Sorry, my bad.
But but I will. I'll tilt another beer and eat some more food or something obnoxious. Right.
Is there something we can send them for the Bohica if they get it? Like, it feels
I can
like
send
they
them
should
a
get
photo
something.
of the Bohica. Like, hey, this is what you guys. This is what you're lucky I didn't take the court with this thing to further humiliate you.
Sending that image by
you think
US
I'd get
mail,
arrested?
there
You
might
think that'd be
some
a problem?
issues.
Yeah. Who would I send it to? Just the athletic department?
Chuck Walsh.
No, I'm sending it to Miami. I want them to up in their facility.
Care of Jim Larinaga.
Yeah, they are the owners of the Platinum Bohica. They get to be reminded of their shame. Maybe it's a motivator. Maybe I should not send that because they'll be hell-bent on never having that happen again.
Yeah,
you can't. Yeah, that's
Certainly
right.
not the Diamond.
Timmy writes, Pete Thamel reported that Surtain Sr. will be the secondary coach. Does that mean Fuller won't be coaching the safeties? Corners and safeties will be under Surtain and not split between Fuller and Surtain. Is that what that means? Is what Timmy is asking.
I don't think so. I think Marcus Woodson was the secondary coach.
Yeah,
they use it, defensive backs interchangeable with secondary.
Yes, they do.
And those two coaches are going to work together. Adam Fuller wouldn't have a position to coach if he didn't work with the DBs.
And Fuller communicates all the time with them. It's 7-on-7, 11-on-11. He's always talking with the DBs.
And if you're the defensive coordinator, you would have to.
Correct.
Coordinating the defense. Hunter writes, if we start out 12-0 before we hit ACC play with Pitt, what's our record to finish the year before the? I think he means 2-0. What? 12-0. Hunter writes, and I'm an idiot. That's me. He's talking about basketball. I was thinking football. I'm like, what is he talking about? I figured this out very quickly because, I got to lock it in. My bad, Hunter. I apologize to you. If we start out 12-0 before we hit ACC play with Pitt, what's our record to finish the year before the tourney? How tough is the ACC? The ACC is not tough. It's not a good league. It's a pretty balanced league this year, though, right?
Yeah, there's not any great teams. There's not any there are some horrible teams. Louisville is god-awful. Notre Dame isn't much better. But I would look, they're not going to they're still probably they're not going to get to 500. They could maybe make some noise in the tournament. Maybe they could be a Cinderella in the tournament.
I think they're going to be a team that people are mad they have to play.
It is interesting, though, the fact that, again, the highlights are pretty cool, like being up 20-something points at Notre Dame, being up 17 at halftime against Florida. It's not like it's a team that just gets pummeled. And so they've shown those moments, and now you are better. So, yeah, I think they'll be a tough out in the tournament.
I wish they'd play Baba more. I was texting with Ira. I don't know what he played 15 minutes against Pitt. The way he moves on both, especially defense, those guards don't smoke him like they smoke the other big players on Florida State's team. So they can't get in the paint and then kick out for wide open threes. I would love to see that kid, what it looks like when he's playing 30 minutes a night.
I do think they're building towards him playing a lot more minutes. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think there's any denying what you just described. He is a really impactful player. I also love watching him play. There's a feel for the game that he has. Obviously, the length and athleticism for a guy that size, you just don't see it that often. You understand why people are all excited about him. I just think they're trying to build him towards the ACC tournament, basically. I mean, that's their only chance to get into the dance is you got to get him right and everybody else at just the right time because they're not getting there in the regular season.
And my little private world, goal, hope is that maybe the one blessing to Baba not playing this whole season is that he comes back. And now you look at that team, you get Gainey back, you get him back. I'm going to guess Matthew Cleveland's moving on. But you have a chance for Leonard to have a really good year. We all want Leonard Hamilton to have at least one more really good year before he hangs it up. And that could be it if Baba Miller comes back.
But the way Florida State's going, he would come back and then get dysentery.
Thanks for that positive thought from Corey Clark. Along with Jordan Travis breaking his leg in the opener. Anything else you got?
Yeah.
Knocking on wood.
Is it too early to tell whether Napier and company is a tire fire at UF? Yes. Do you think he ultimately succeeds? I don't know the answer to that part of the question. I will say, Tucker, it's too early to say that it's a tire fire. Given that I want Florida to lose their games, I like that there is seemingly a disconnect between the administration, obviously their collective, their head coach, and those that are contributing to this situation. They're not on the same page. And that's a real good sign. You like that confusion, the lack of leadership. You like the inconsistency. You like the fact that they had a rogue guy decide he was going to reset the market for a player that nobody would have paid $13 million for, although Miami apparently was going to pay a pretty penny to.
2/3 of it.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I think it's too early to say that he's going to be a failure. I mean, we don't know that.
But the challenge he's going to have is the same thing we talked about last summer with Mike Norvell is at some point you've got to get some positive energy going. Mike Norvell, it was going into year 3, but that was only because we were giving him a pass on year 1. There's a lot of UF fans who are not believing right now in what Napier's doing. And if you have another stinker year, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's where it becomes so people want results so quickly now that if you don't show something in that second year, it's hard to get that momentum going.
Well, and that's why I was worried for Mike Norvell. I called that year 3 the one that was so pivotal. Hey, he's got to win. And it wasn't because I was commenting on his coaching acumen. I thought he was a good coach. We had both seen Corey had too.
And most people think from what you hear in the business,
Napier's a good coach.
Napier has respect of his peers. He's thought of as a good coach. You would think he'll do well.
There's too much momentum and weight going in the wrong direction after a certain amount of time for you to get it turned around. And kids begin to doubt and you have real problems. It just piles up against you over time. But that's year 1. And there were enough moments in year 1, I would argue, if I was being a pro-Florida guy, there were enough moments in year 1 with a wildly inconsistent quarterback to still be pretty excited about where they think that's headed. Now, obviously the collective is another discussion, but yeah, it's too early.
And they've got some positive momentum because they did kick that field goal in the fourth quarter of the bowl game.
The
streak is alive
to avoid the shutout, so they still got that going for them.
Very, very, very important. Chris writes, after listening to Roddick, I'm very worried our seasons with Adkins are surely short-numbered. Is his predecessor already on the staff, or will it be an outside hire? You think maybe Tokars? He's done a great job with the quarterbacks.
Heck, it might be Roddick. Roddick can coach these guys next year.
Yeah, it might be. I was just going to say, he's so impressive it could be. Chris, no, I don't think it's Tokars. I think he's doing a great job with the quarterbacks.
No, I think he was saying, is there a similar situation where you bring in somebody for Nails? They do have, Alex Atkins gives a lot of credit to the two guys that help him out a lot. Cooper Williams is the GA and Gabe Fertitta is the analyst, and they do help a lot, and he gives them a lot of credit for it. They're a great group together. I don't know that either one of them would be next in line for that position. Chris Thompson, the tight ends coach, has coached offensive line before. He might be an option. They could go elsewhere. But again, I've been saying it for months now, and I continue to say it. I don't think Alex Atkins is in as big a rush to become a head coach as everybody seems to think. So I wouldn't panic about him leaving anytime soon. I think he likes what he's doing. I think he likes working for Norvell, and I think he thinks they're getting it rolling here, and he might have even better opportunities down the road.
That's the concern, is that I agree with you. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest he can't wait to get out of here. Some guys are hell-bent on being a head coach as soon as possible. We've seen a couple of guys come through here in recent memory who were, in fact, fit that descriptor. But I do think that his reputation in the industry has grown to where more people would look at him than they had, say, each of the last 2 years. I think they're beginning because Florida State is succeeding, and he is extremely well thought of. And now he's recruiting exceptionally well. So I do worry that if Florida State goes to the college football playoff this year, Ira, he could be a candidate for a really good job somewhere.
I don't make sense.
But I think part of it is, your desire and what you're putting yourself in line for. And I just haven't seen any signs of him showing that desire to be on a fast track to be a head coach. There's other assistants have done this. There's a lot of assistants that have stayed assistants at a high level for a long time.
But he may want to do that. Right. I'm not discounting that premise either. I'm just saying that the opportunities are going to be much greater the more this team wins and the more that reputation grows.
I'm just pushing back. There seems to be a narrative out there that he's going to be on the first train once he gets a good offer. And just like they thought he would jump at Charlotte or Tulane because he had worked there before. I just don't think.
Look, and I don't know if this makes sense or not, but he might want to strike when the iron is hot.
So. Is this a new one you came up with?
Does that even make sense? I've been spitballing and I don't.
How does that? What do you mean by that?
I mean, say he has the
iron is hot.
You don't want to use an iron when it's cold.
I actually don't know what that saying means. I don't know what the literal saying of it.
What do you mean strike?
I think when you're striking someone in the face with a hot iron.
It's more effective than a cold iron?
Cold iron doesn't do as much damage because it doesn't burn the skin.
You're faced with an iron, one way or the other, you got a problem.
You got a problem, but you're not burned. You're burned and you're all screwed up.
Yeah.
But Brent Venables is a guy who the iron was hot for a long time.
His son was there, though, too, and all that. I mean, there was a big part of it.
All right, Atkins is leaving in 4 months.
Why?
Because everything I say, you're throwing out a different reason why.
I didn't throw out a different reason. I just noted that there will have greater opportunities.
Yeah, he will.
Well, just that's the end of the conversation. He'll have greater opportunities.
Yeah, I was going to say, legitimately, if Jordan Travis has the year you're thinking he's going to have, if they win 10 or 11 games, and they're losing so much off next year's team, and a Power 5 job becomes available, I think you strike when the iron is hot in that regard. He's not going to leave for Charlotte or Tulane. Those ships have sailed.
He was never going to leave. Stop with the ships have sailed. He was never going to leave for a sorry job. You and I agree on this. We're not arguing about this, but I think if you have greater opportunities, he might consider them.
I didn't say he wouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think that there's nothing I've gotten any sense that that's his goal right now in his career is to be a head coach. He's only been a Power 5 assistant coach for 3 years. So again,
we should ask him.
Maybe some people have.
No, we should ask if he wants to be a head coach. I remember asking Jimbo one time, "Do you want to go to the NFL?"
I don't think he's no.
He would
he's
be
not
answered on the record.
More importantly, guys. More importantly, Scott Kennebrew chimed in and said, "When you're forging iron, you strike it. You got to hit it when it's hot."
Where are the idiots then? There you go. You got it.
I thought you were hitting people with irons like that you used to iron clothes. I thought you hit them in the face with it when they were hot.
I also like that Scott Kennebrew is like, "Oh my God, guys!
Yeah,
like metal workers.
What are you doing?
Have you not forged iron?"
Now that he says it, though, I'm kind of like, "Oh yeah."
That makes sense. I've seen those jeans commercials or whatever they were, the Ford truck commercials.
Yeah, any of the History Channel specials where they show people who did that sort of stuff. Yeah, they're striking well. Have you guys ever heard
That's
of...
also what Snoop Dogg said, I think.
Did he?
Strike it while it's hot.
Oh, there you go. Good song. Have you guys ever heard of the Berryman National Championship? Apparently the Noles won it in 1987. Wikipedia says the Berryman Quality Point Rating System rates teams by strength of schedule, win-loss record, points scored, and points allowed. And it's used to select historic national champions and is registered by the NCAA in its FBS record book. Discuss Wikipedia. He sent a link.
Metrics.
87. So we're the national champions from 87?
I mean, Alabama would claim it.
I love that 87 team. You know what we ought to do is just like Clemson did. We need to put up our conference championship, national championship.
Yes.
All of that just right up there on the wall of accomplishment.
You could put an asterisk next to it and say Berryman or whatever. But yeah, if somebody claimed you a national champion, take it. Thomasville did. Remember, Ira, in 74, or whatever the team was in Thomasville that won the national championship. Some newspaper guy just said they were national champions and they claimed it. They even had a loss that year with William Andrews and they still won the national championship. So Florida State could very well claim a 1987 national championship.
Sean writes, what is the biggest difference we all see from a Link coached team this year?
I'm going to get less text from Sean complaining about the baseball team. I think that's going to be a big difference.
That's
I think it's I just think there's going to be a focus and an attention to detail. I mean, I think those are the two things you're going to be able to see right away. Again, the things we were talking about last season, some of the base running errors, some of the sloppiness, I think that's going to be cleaned up pretty quickly. I don't know if the talent is going to be markedly different. I think the attention to detail is going to be different pretty quickly. You can affect that pretty quickly.
The inexcusable errors that you see on a regular basis. I'm not talking about physical errors as in I can't pick up the baseball, but the dumbassery on the base path. I think a lot of that swing and miss is going to go away. Now, baseball is a game that has a lot more swing and miss than it used to, but I think you'll see far fewer swings and misses in terms of the approach. And I also think that perhaps, Ira and Corey, this is the part I think that people should be excited about, or I'm excited about maybe. If you are able to affect the clubhouse with an entirely different feel and day-to-day existence, do you get the most out of the talent you do have in a way that you certainly weren't last year? I think a lot of guys were a lot of guys were disgruntled last year, and coming to work every day, to use the example, if you're in a place where you don't like your coworkers, you don't like your boss, and you don't like the situation you're in, makes it hard to do your best work. So I have a feeling that a lot of guys are going to play better this year just because they're going to be happier.
There was blame it on whoever you want to blame it on. There was really bad chemistry in that locker room, and that would be better.
Yeah, that has to be better. Corey, you're excited about anything?
I mean, yeah, it kind of felt like a pall over the program last year, just in general. And you got to think that's lifted just with fresh blood. Not saying any ill will about Meade or anything, but just a different personality, somebody that's in their first year, so there's no pressure that his job might be on the line or anything like that. Just a completely different personality. And you think it should be a positive impact because Link has had a positive impact every program he's been at.
Correct.
Yeah, there's evidence to that end. Yeah. Parker writes, if we don't get a transfer safety, who would be your 2 starting safeties next year?
Also, don't let Stephanie get a good long look at Link. Corey.
She's got eyes for only 2 guys, me and Norvell.
The thing is, Link is shorter, and she clearly likes shorter guys. Not taking a shot.
Look,
he's got a type, is what you're saying.
Now, let's not go crazy. I'm like 5'8.5". I'm average.
You really kind of set that up.
Just because I'm not a giant like you two dudes, I think I'm short.
You're just kind of easy. Anyhow.
What was the question?
I don't know.
The safeties.
Yeah,
I think
Shaheem Brown will be one.
Yeah, and Akeem Dent will be the other. If I don't know why they would. If nobody else comes in, I don't know who else is even in the. Is McClellan? Is he
gone.
back? He's
gone. He's gone.
Who's even at safety? Who are the other safeties to even choose from?
Yeah, I mean those were the 4 that
Travis
played
Jay.
Well, we've talked about maybe
Travis
moving.
Jay will be back. It's safety, so you'll have him as an option.
I mean,
hey man,
if not now, when?
Well, he was not available this past season.
I root for that kid because he's a talent,
and he's come through it,
and he's still here.
Yeah,
he's incredibly still here.
It wouldn't shock me if he played some this year.
I hope so, Ira. I hope you're right about that, man. I mean, the fact that he's still here, there is real talent in there. If we think back to his misfortune on the field or his lack of success on the field, it wasn't because he was out of position. Just never made a play on the ball. Never.
I think his confidence got shelled. But anyway, there's not a ton. I mean, that's why you feel like there's a good chance they may go into the portal and try to get somebody. And they also, dude, you got a lot of other DBs that could move to safety.
That's what I'm saying.
And Renardo Green was a former safety. They've got other guys that have the body type. You could see them moving to.
Maybe
I don't know. And see, like in Azaria, I'm sure it wants to be a corner for the NFL, but man, that looks like a really nice college safety body too. I don't know if that's even something.
But if he locks down another corner position, then
Right.
you've got another body that you can move over there.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. And they've got guys coming in. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to find out what they do there. Maybe Renardo goes back to safety.
Definitely a possibility.
I mean, it's a big possibility.
He was pretty good at corner, though.
I'm just saying, he was really good, but if Cypress is really good,
Central Cypress
if he comes in and is really good, and then let's say Azaria reaches his talent, those two could have that starting job, and you could move Bernardo back because he has experience. It's a possibility. Seminole Headlines, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
The Amazon Fulfillment Center is bringing big things to the city of Tallahassee. For starters, they plan to host career fairs in every district once they begin their hiring process. Though their focus is helping low-income areas with workforce initiatives such as the 32304 zip code, which includes portions of Frenchtown, Griffin Heights, and Bond. It has the highest rate of childhood poverty in Florida, including access to food, education, and healthcare. Amazon will offer a wide range of jobs like warehouse associates, management, logistics, and operations, just to name a few. The pay will start at $15 an hour, and they are looking to fill up to 1,500 positions. And Amazon and Star Metro are partnering to figure out what they need in place to provide transportation for workers. Talks of a bus stop at the fulfillment center have already begun. An EF2 tornado tore through Cook County, Georgia, damaging homes Sunday. But fortunately, no injuries were reported. The tornado tore through over 5 miles of Cook County, packing wind speeds of up to 115 miles per hour. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by McLemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 64 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tonight. Lows level off around 56. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Highs level off around 72. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 62.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor, or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg.
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
That was a meaty segment, guys. We did like 28 right there. We solved the world's problems. We were able to debate. We were able to talk through the position groups, talked about the schedule, the matchups. But I will remind everybody, yeah, that's right. More famous Coreyisms.
Right.
I will say a reminder again. The schedule comes out on Monday. We're gonna know. It's Monday night because they're making a show of it.
I would expect a healthy, meaty Warchant video on Warchant TV after the schedule is announced, where we will discuss it.
I mean, they're definitely going to get a Friday night game, right? I mean, there's no way the ACC will not have one of their marquee programs be on a Friday night. I would think at least one. Like even in Clemson's heyday, they were always having to play Syracuse on a Friday night.
I guess. I mean, I hate those Friday night games. I understand that what you're saying, but yeah, I would assume they'll probably have at least one Friday night game. I would also say that we'll have, I mean, the potential on Seminole Headlines to do W&Ls on that Tuesday. After the big Warchant response,
right?
We will be the first to be able to talk about it.
You can go ahead and put me down for 12 dubs. Yeah, I don't care how they're. Don't care.
Are you both of you have stated more than once of the importance of the LSU game. And I'm not ignoring the importance of it, but I, for whatever reason, don't like the feeling that if they lose that game, they're out of it. Because I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true. I worry a little bit about how they handle it, because they're going into a year now with real expectation. Yeah. And, you know, they're very confident. And when they lost the game this past season, they went to a 3-game tailspin. So that to me is the bigger part, not the perception part, but can they recover quickly mentally? They should be able to. It's going to be a veteran team.
Yeah, they've got enough kind of automatic wins in there, Corey. I mean, I think they just do. Like, until it depends on where they put the Clemson game, but you have a chance to rattle off a bunch of wins in a row before you have to go play on the road against Clemson, whenever that's going to be.
Yeah, but there's just no margin for error, right? If you lose to LSU, if you beat LSU, you can lose a game in the conference and still have a chance, whether it's at Clemson or. But if you lose to LSU, you have to win out, and that includes beating Clemson probably twice, which is a tall order.
I would say this though: if I'm at the ACC headquarters and I look at what Florida State's becoming, and I know what the numbers Florida State generates as a promising, positive team in college football, I'm going to try to take care of those two teams to get them to that game where I'm not screwing either one of those teams going into that game.
Agreed. It'd be nice if the ACC looked at it that way.
It would be nice.
Let's see if they take a good long look at that situation.
They don't need to be going 2 straight road trips before that game or something just ridiculous.
And Vino Veritas writes, if NIL was in place back in 2010, how much money would Moses McCray be worth as the brand ambassador for Peloton? Well done, sir.
Go gotten a lot.
Moses McCray. I love it.
Can you get your own like customized course? Like that would have been the endorsement, Moses course, like where Moses is riding to.
Man,
think about Jameis with like Crab Shack or something, or just Publix himself. Like my crab legs are so good at Publix. I got it wherever he was. Wasn't he at Publix? Or
yes, he was at Publix.
Yeah. So I mean, he would have. I mean, Jameis would have gotten. He might have had a deal with Nike, but yeah, I think the crab that would have been great.
Nate wants to know, is the Platinum Bohica delivery staff ready to go? We don't need any screw-ups like microphone issues. I'm not going to jail for this, guys. Again, I'm not going to jail for this.
What if you just came to the press conference with it and put it on the podium before Jim came and sat down?
Like a bottle of water. He just thinks it's always there.
Yeah.
What is this structure?
I think he would be alerted to the fact that this is not always there. For the people on the video, if I were to walk up to the dais there and just set that thing down, and here he is like, what in the world?
It's fine. It's fine, man. He's in Miami. He sees stuff like that all the time.
He would be like startled. Absolutely. You can't, I've worked hard in this profession for a very long time. I'm not going to get arrested and be talked about for the wrong reasons.
All right. While he's doing the press conference. Okay. So the way that this all works is after games, coaches go talk to their players in the locker room. Then the head coach will come talk to the media while the players finish, shower, get dressed, whatever. While the press conference is going on, you could have left it out by the locker door. So when he gets back, he makes that long walk back after losing for 10 straight times. And there it is sitting in.
Maybe he trips on it.
You can leave a little note, a little thank you note.
Oh my goodness gracious. I want to answer another question so that we don't continue to think about this. Odds that Fitz is still the place kicker next year.
They did bring in a transfer from FSU, right?
ETSU, baby.
So there's some good competition there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Fitzy. I think Fitzy's going to come out and win it. That's what I think.
I'm going to say 51%.
I will say that I'm not rooting against him because I thought he overcame an awful lot this year.
He did change his kicking approach during the season.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to think maybe having a full offseason kicking that way will help him. We'll see.
They didn't bring that kid in for nothing, though. Like, that's going to be a real competition.
Yeah, it has to be.
Oh, thank goodness. That's the theme, the entire theme, the through line of all of this is spring is going to be great because you have competition at so many positions. Even at quarterback, not for the starting job, but the backup job. You've got real competition across the board. You got it on the offensive line, you got it on the defensive line. Whether some of the time it's for the starting reps, some of it's for the backup reps, but either way, the elevation of competition makes you better. The great defenses that we've seen in this sport have benefited greatly from going against very good offenses in practice, but also the competition within the segment groups for playing time elevates everybody's play. So this is first time in a long time where I think Florida State's going to have intense competition across the board.
And the other nice thing it gives you when you get to that level as a program, and this is an ancillary thing that we don't talk about a lot because it's really only the really good teams have it. But when you've got good players on the scout team, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because now you're getting a good look. And when you're down, the way Florida State had been down for so long, there was no talent on that side of the ball to really see what they had. This year, that talent on the scout teams will be good too.
I'm waving goodbye to Corey Clark. You don't get to counter that point. That's a good one to end on.
Thanks, Corey. We love you.
I agree. Love you guys. For the two gentlemen here, I'm Jeff. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be well. Talk to you soon. Go Noles tonight. Let's get that Bohica.